feel like I'm on uneven ground today. Or something. I don't know. I don't know. It's that time of the month again where we recap all the wonder and magic that was yourotherbrothers.com for the last month. Without swearing. You know, the match is in there, and hopefully the flame is going to catch the wick. I'm going to go out on faith today and trust that it's going to happen. And y'all, it just did. So, never mind the fact that I'm now burning a wick and a little cylinder of wood. We've got a flame. We've got Your Other Brothers magic happening. My name's Tom, co-founder and editor of Your Other Brothers, a community navigating faith, homosexuality, and masculinity together. This is State of the YOB, recapping all the blogs, podcasts, and videos for the month that was January 2019. I hope all of you guys have had an amazing first month of the year. As for YOB's January, it was a really great month. Let me tell you about it, starting with our blogosphere. Starting with our blog, we had some really amazing stories and posts go up this month. Starting with our inaugural post of the year by good old Ryan. His post, shirtless pool wrestling! Exclamation point times 3. Shirtless pool wrestling. Yeah, Ryan talks about basically using an experience of shirtless pool wrestling to kind of alleviate or to provide an outlet for a lot of anger he was feeling at the time for another man. And it's a really enlightening post. It kind of illuminated a lot of reasons why I get a lot out of physical activity. Exercise, starting with exercise, but even physical activity with other men. There's something like really mystical and healing about that. So that was an amazing story. I love that we kicked off our year with a post like that, because that post kind of encapsulates what our community is all about in so many ways. And then we had a post from our brother Kevin, who wrote a post called, "What does Jesus think of me now?" And I think everyone, regardless of sexuality and struggle, everyone has to come to grips with this question at some point in their journey. Like, I just did something really shameful, something I'm disappointed in, and something that causes me a lot of grief. And does Jesus still love me? Is Jesus still there? Does he care? What does he think? And so Kevin's in this series about talking about studying abroad and some choices that he made while studying abroad, and kind of the fallout of that choice comes back to God, comes back to Jesus. What does he think? It's a great post for anyone wrestling with that question, regardless of how you've messed up or screwed up or made a mistake or did something that you could have done better. Yeah, it's a great post of humility, a great post of courage. I feel like I'm slouching. Have I talked about slouching? Okay. Our brother Eugene, he wrote a post called "I Wanted to Be Ex-Gay." And I know that there's a lot of labels and a lot of terminologies out there, vocabularies and acronyms like SSA and LGBTQI, AAAP, LMNO. But this is a great post because it kind of comes from a lot of where our guys in this community came from, which if you go back a few years, the ex-gay movement and ex-gay organizations were pretty much all that were available for Christians with same-sex attraction, or Christians who had a gay orientation. Ex-gay was like the only alternative, essentially. And yeah, Eugene talks about his journey, about finding resources, using the Google, and finding resources out there to find other people like him, other believers like him, and essentially trying to figure out, what do I do? How do I cope? How do I grow? How do I also follow Jesus while also reconciling what is here, the sexuality that isn't changing and that's right here with me? It's a great like time capsule post going back into the ex-gay organizations of years, if not decades past. For a lot of us, it's a trip down good old memory lane. Our brother Dean, have I ever used the word prolific to describe Dean? Our prolific author Dean, he wrote a post called "Codependency, Ruins of Friendship." I can't imagine anyone out there hasn't ever wrestled with codependency, with emotional dependency, with inappropriate, unhealthy attachment to any one or multiple individuals. I say that jokingly because I've done that. Like, how many stars are in the sky? Yeah, it's hard to read stories like this because it reminds me of my own shortcomings, but at the same time, it's also really reassuring to know that I'm not the only one who has unhealthily attached to another man, and like wanting his attention, his conversation, his time, his touch. Yeah, I think a lot of us, so many of us in this community have been there, if not every single one of us to some extent. And so Dean's starting a new series about this particular friendship that got unhealthy really quickly. If that's something that you're navigating through right now, maybe follow Dean along for this new journey and relate, because you're not alone. And then Tom, one of our favorite bloggers at Your Other Brothers, Tom wrote a post called Breaking Down the Idol of Brotherhood. This has been a long time coming for me, this particular post. I've had it saved in my drafts folder for at least 2 months, maybe longer, I don't know. It's been sitting there for a while, and I had been struggling to piece words together because I am very much still in a horrific deconstruction process of breaking down the pursuit of brotherhood. And it's tricky because brotherhood is our center value here at Your Other Brothers. Like, we have our 5 values, which you can check out on our About page, but brotherhood's right there in the middle. It kind of bridges the gap between humanity and God, tying us together horizontally while we're oriented vertically toward Him. So it's a tricky thing because we all need brotherhood and we value brotherhood in this community. But it's possible with any of those values, and really with much anything in life, it's possible to make an idol out of something. It's possible to make an idol out of ministry, which is something that I absolutely have done with this work with Your Other Brothers. And so I've been in a process of at least the last year, if not longer, of breaking down not necessarily the pursuit of brotherhood, but the pursuit of brotherhood above all else. The pursuit of brotherhood above God, above Jesus. And I want to right the ship. I want to have a healthier view of brotherhood, a healthier pursuit of brotherhood. And I talk in the post how it can be tricky growing up with somebody with not many friends, especially male friends. I feel like I had to swing completely to the other side of making friends the only thing that mattered. And if I didn't have friends, then what even was this life that I was living? I hope that you can be blessed by some of what I'm going through right now, because I'm definitely not finished breaking down that idol quite yet. And then our last post of the month was a conversational post with several of our authors about that Gillette commercial and toxic masculinity. Not sure if y'all have heard, but there's this commercial going around that people seem to either really love or really hate. What is toxic masculinity? We dive into all of that. It's a great conversation, and one I'm sure that we'll be returning to again and again. So that's something we're going to probably be talking about more on the podcast. We have a podcast. This month we did our podcast episode on self-care. It was me, and it was Ryan, and it was Dean. We had a great conversation to kick off 2019 about self-care, about resolutions, about taking care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of others, right? I called it the face mask analogy, but it's, on the airplane, the oxygen mask. That's it. The oxygen mask analogy. We also have a YOB episode, which is our bonus podcast every single month, follows our regular YOBcast episode, and it's only available to Patreon supporters. And you can find all of that information, patreon.com/yourotherbros, if you want to get in on the action and hear this bonus podcast. This month, I think more than any other month we've done the YOB had so much bonus content. I think at least 30 minutes of bonus content and bloopers. And it's a really fun time to just kind of be a little sillier and a little more serious too, actually. There's a good mix of both in this month's YOB. So check out both of those podcasts if you are a faithful YOBber. And if you are a faithful YOBber, 2 thumbs up. I love all of our YOBbers. You guys are great. Thanks for helping YOB do what it does every single month. Shoot me an email anytime, by the way, tom@yourotherbrothers.com. Would love to hear from you. I always enjoy hearing from folks, regardless of where you're at. If you've just found our community or if you've been lurking. I've gotten some comments lately about people who are lurking, and then they comment. And I hope that they stop lurking. I hope that they feel free to engage in the stories and in the dialogue more on our site. So there's my email. And then also, you can send us snail mail anytime. Your Other Brothers, P.O. Box 843, Asheville, North Carolina, 28802. We get candles, we get lots of goodies. Big shout out to some folks over the holidays who sent me cookies and dark chocolate almonds and granola bars and just all kinds of amazing goodies. Y'all are so Amazing, so kind. If you want to reach out, you don't have to send me gifts, certainly. But if you want to write a letter to me, I love receiving handwritten letters. That would be awesome too. That's going to do it. Y'all have a great rest of 2019. I'll be back next month for some more video action. So in the meantime, keep yobbing.